All right, up next we have a presentation about the Cloud Metro. Speaking of edge, it's the new edge for sustainable business growth. And joining me is Chittaranjan Rao, who is Director of Product Management for Automation and WAN Solutions from Juniper Networks.
Hello everyone, good afternoon, and I am a Director in Product Management in Juniper India, and I'm excited to stand here in front of you to talk about Cloud Metro and how it can enable sustainable business growth. Let's look at the trends which we have been seeing in the past 2 to 3 years, and many of them are obvious, and I have categorized them into 3 simple buckets. Newer applications, right? A lot of this has already been spoken about, and we know that new applications are pretty insisting on their requirements for latency, on their closer proximity, which is same or similar but not identical with low latency. And there are a lot of applications which consume a lot of data, take it up into the cloud for processing, and provide results or responses back in real time or near real time. And we also see change in the traffic patterns. There's a rise in east-west traffic, not the traditional north-south traffic where the metro was generally a dumb pipe aggregating lower speeds into higher speeds and sending the data over to the core. The new traffic patterns are also much thicker in the sense they're carrying a lot more traffic thanks to devices which are capable of generating far more data, like a 48 megapixel camera, right? Content is created and consumed within the metro itself. You're more likely to make a video call within the same city than across cities or across continents. And supporting all this is the newer trend, which is generally an evolution and a revolution of standards and protocols and frameworks and technologies which are enabling all this. The cable standards for delivering internet, the packet optical network standards which have evolved from PON to gigabit PON to XGS PON, then the evolution or the revolution from 4G to 5G, and device evolvement or evolution where now devices are connected to multiple networks and multiple types of networks at the same time are all ongoing trends which we are seeing. And what is the kind of opportunity these changes or trends are pointing to? Some of these have already been repeated again and again, which makes my job easier, right? Because we are resonating the same message. A $500 billion opportunity in edge computing TAM by 2030, growing at an impressive rate of 49% per annum, a 5x growth by 2027 in the amount of traffic carried in the metro, and 50% of enterprise data will be distributed in edge clouds or hybrid clouds by 2025. But the key message here is there is a rise in a customer base who are willing to pay a premium for differentiated and excellent service experience, which can be monetized. So what are the requirements for the metro in order to meet the business opportunities, in order to exploit or take advantage of them? We did a survey with heavy reading, and the list here should not be a surprise to the folks in the room, right? Right at the top is network security, which is a must or a given because the envelope or the attack surface with 5x growth is naturally much bigger. We also have seen echoes of the same sentiment here. Automation is the next in demand, and for the right reasons. Do-it-yourself projects or homegrown management tools will no longer cut it when the number of devices, number of links, number of subscribers, number of connections, number of whatever it is going to grow by 5 times. There is also a requirement for aggregating higher speeds towards the core. So we migrate from 100 gig uplinks to 400 gig uplinks and then 800 gig uplinks. Once upon a time, the higher speeds used to first appear in the core and then in the edge network. And now we are seeing that there is a need for bringing the higher speeds first into the metro itself. Service assurance, no surprises here. The panelists before me and many of the other participants here are all talking about the same thing, how customer is demanding an assured service experience, and it's on top of the mind of the telco operators. Combining the integration of packet and optical convergence along with the metro PON integration, there is a need for network slicing as well. The same unified metro has to behave differently for different applications, for different use cases, for different preferential treatments. So these are the next few concerns, and they have to be supported by the next generation protocols, which reduce the overhead between the packet header and the payload, as well as bring in newer capabilities and simplicities within the next generation metro. The next generation metro, primarily driven by 5G, will also bring about stringent timing and synchronization requirement. Class C at a minimum is a must, and Class D will come in sooner or later. So the metro of the past, which we are labeling as retro metro, is very different from the metro of the present evolving into the future over the next decade. We at Juniper believe that the changes are so significant that we want a new category itself, and that's why we are calling it as the cloud metro. And the cloud metro is what will bring sustainable business growth for service providers and operators. Categorizing the key differences into 3 buckets, we can look at it from an architecture, a systems, and an operations perspective. Let me start with architecture right at the bottom. The retro metro was basically a scale-up model where you replace an existing box with a bigger box or a box with bigger throughput. It would have network silos, which meant a slightly different network for residential, one for business, and one for mobile. And the retro metro would be over provisioned, providing a way for passive assurance. In the sense, I have more than enough capacity for what I need, therefore my customers should be getting the SLAs they are asking or demanding for. And security was an afterthought. Just like you see in the old buildings, the webcams are attached outside with wiring running through. It's a bolt-on method of security. No more. The cloud metro of today and tomorrow should have built-in security. It will have embedded active assurance where the network points or the platforms themselves can provide a way to measure and assure consistent service experience. And there will be a single unified metro with network slicing capable of serving the different applications and the different use cases. And it has to support scale up as well as scale out architectures. Moving on to systems, systems are essentially the platforms which make up the different elements in the cloud metro solution. They used to basically work as aggregators, combine several low speed links into a single high speed link and send it towards the core. They used to be monolithic with respect to power, so you need to add a bulk of power at the beginning, and that would how the box or the platform or the system would perform. And they would have a shorter lifespan due to the evolution of technology. The cloud metro systems will need to be smarter and not just dumb aggregators. The protocols and technologies like network slicing will reach out into the network, which means that in the metro, decisions have to be made, feature richness has to be brought into these platforms and systems. These boxes need to be energy efficient, and in the next slide I will describe why this is very important. And these assets need to sweat for a longer period of time, not just 2 to 3 years, but lasting as long as 7 years. In other words, they should be ready for up to 2x generation change in technology. And finally, operations. This is an easy part because everyone has already heard from the previous speakers and the panelists how we need to move away from manual do-it-yourself operations. We need complete automation for managing devices. We need to shift from managing boxes to managing customer experience. And we need to move away from heroes working in the NOC to AI-enabled collective intelligence, which brings about predictive results, and it can even prevent incidents from occurring. But how can service providers get sustainable business growth with the existing or the past retro metro? There are three challenges here, again the category of three, which makes it easy. Let me start with profit, right? As the number of devices increase, subscribers increase, links increase, nodes increase, everything increases, the cost of operations must be capped. If the cost of managing the network also increases in direct correlation to your growth in the metro, that's not sustainable business. People problem. The data point here is very significant. 86% of the executives in telecom have named skilled staff as their #1 shortage. Sure, with difficulty, you can add more people to managing the network, but they need a work-life balance too. Unhappy staff make for more mistakes and unhappy customers. Manual operations are definitely not sustainable. Human error will tend to creep in, and I have more of this in the upcoming slides. And the third one is very interesting. Juniper Networks, many of our customers and service providers as a whole have made many different commitments related to carbon neutrality, net zero emissions, and so on. The time window may be different for each company or each country or each location, but eventually over the next decade, we will see everybody marching towards a more efficient, greener, net carbon neutral kind of an operation model. If the metro is growing at 5x, then the retro metro solution will not be able to meet or help the customers and service providers meet this requirement. Therefore, the solution is Cloud Metro. In 2021, we introduced Cloud Metro with a couple of platforms, and now we have expanded the solution to provide a more holistic view of the entire offering in the metro space. Let me start with sustainable architecture. The key architecture for the Cloud Metro will be based on IP Services Fabric. This will also have a converged network, meaning one single unified metro for residential, business, and mobile networks. It will have network slicing augmented with the newer protocols like EVPN, segment routing, SRv6, etc. in order to help with the network slicing implementation. It has to support scale up and scale out architectures. In addition to this, we need to have embedded active assurance embedded in the platforms themselves so that it's easier to deploy, easier to test, easier to roll out, and easier to prove and debug an existing SLA. Security, the #1 concern for the next generation metro, also has to be built in and not bolt on, and we are planning to do this with a zero trust security model. More on this later on. The next layer, sustainable platforms or sustainable systems. These not only include the so-called boxes, but also the optics, which together provide the hardware in order to implement a Cloud Metro solution. And finally, at the top, sustainable operations. I think everybody here agrees with the message that we need to have automation in place, so this part is pretty easy. We have a Paragon automation solution which is based on driving experience rather than platform-oriented view of management. It is outcome-driven rather than operation-driven, and it gives the easy button. So onboarding a new device is a matter of minutes and not months with an AI-enabled and cloud-delivered as a service Paragon automation suite. Digging a little deeper into the ACX 7000 family of the Cloud Metro, these systems were built ground up with no legacy, no backward compatibility, no retro metro baggage, and therefore they have been highly optimized to meet the challenges of the Cloud Metro era. A good view is captured at the bottom table, where sustainable business outcomes are clearly seen as against the retro metro based on an ACG research study. 53 to 71% lower total cost of ownership, primarily driven by a lower power consumption due to more efficient power modules and power technology, as well as better space efficiency through innovative and intelligent design of the platforms themselves, resulting in 4 to 7 years of longer system life, which means these boxes are not ready just for the 400 gig throughputs and speeds, but also for 800 gig and the 1.6 Tbps era coming in the future. A quick mention about the Juniper custom ZR and ZR Plus optics in the 400 gig throughput speed. They will provide leading power consumption. When the same optic is put at both ends of the network link, we can enable proprietary FEC modes, which will result in 5 to 10% lower power consumption than compared to the main competition. Another key important aspect is that these optics are integrated into the Paragon automation, which means an incident or an event in the optical domain or the DWDM domain can result in events being triggered in the IP domain, which can result in preventing an incident in the customer experience by either rerouting traffic or changing a parameter or whatever action it is necessary, thanks to the AI/ML and the intelligent algorithms up in the cloud. These optics are fully standards based and can interface with any other optic who are implementing these standards based solutions. Automation is critical, and I think this point has been made again and again by everybody in this room. So I can directly jump to the key message. Human error is the prime source of issues, and we can no longer have do-it-yourself kind of homegrown or company-grown tools in order to manage the cloud metro at scale. Paragon automation as a service is cloud delivered and AI enabled. The best place for running AI, which consumes a humongous amount of data to produce intelligent outcomes and inferences, is in the cloud, and therefore the automation suite is delivered from the cloud as a service. A comparison by Analysis Mason shows that there is up to 40% cost reduction, a 70% faster deployment of newer use cases, and a 50% reduction in deployment time as compared to the traditional do-it-yourself method of network manageability. This also includes embedded active assurance, where basically the test agents which are used in order to measure parameters like latency, throughput, ping tests, etc., are embedded in the platform, and they provide sustainable business outcomes as compared to a non-active assurance based system. 50% reduction in incident resolution time, simplified deployment, 30% increase in customer satisfaction. Finally, the built-in zero trust security. All the ACX 7000 platform modules incorporate the trusted platform module TPM 2.0, which gives a unique dev ID giving cryptographic intelligence into each of the platform or capabilities into each platform, which is used for hardware and software attestation and validation, leading to securing data, both data at rest, which means the files and the image, as well as data in motion with MACsec and other secure protocols. All in all, if I summarize the whole cloud metro, there is a tremendous opportunity based on the trends and based on the evolution and revolution happening in the technology space. We believe this requires a new category by itself, and we are calling that as cloud metro. The three challenges for the current technology or the retro metro is along the lines of profit, people, and planet, and these are directly addressed by cloud metro. which has sustainable operations, sustainable systems, and sustainable architecture, which together enable sustainable business growth. Thank you for your patience and for your attention. Outside near the registration desk, my colleagues are waiting with a free gift. So those of you who are interested in asking questions, or those of you who are interested in knowing more, please do stop by near the registration desk. Thank you.